Good morning, students. Welcome to Ekcel Academy's live CSEET crash course. Today we'll be looking at logical reasoning. Of course, in fact, we'll be continuing from where we left. Actually, last week, due to my own mistake, half of the video was on mute. So I'll be covering those topics again, that is cause and effect relationship, and also coding and decoding, and then we'll proceed further. So before we proceed further, let me make a quick announcement. I'm sure you would be already aware of this. We are Ekcel Academy. We conduct classes for company secretary course, CS foundation, that is CSEET, now executive, and also for professional. With respect to Ekcel Academy, what is unique is its mentorship program. In fact, as you can see in the poster on the video, we conduct classes in English, exclusively in English, and we have live classes as well as recorded classes. The recorded classes are there for all the subjects, all the topics, and the live classes will be conducted by the faculty members occasionally, in fact, sometimes every day, so that the doubts which the students get when they watch the recorded sessions are cleared then and there itself. And we have notes so that you can easily understand what is there in the material. And not only that, we have this unique thing called Study With Me group discussions, wherein someone will be online and they'll be studying, and you can just get inspired by them and then study on your own. It's just studying, that's it, nothing else. So you can attend such sessions as well. And more than that, we have this mentorship program where someone from our team will be in touch with you regularly just to monitor how exactly you are progressing with respect to the course. So apart from this, if you visit our website and register there, that is the link of which is there in the description, you will get things like daily quizzes. Then there'll be weekly tests and mock exams, all those things for which you'll get your results as well. So make use of it try to clear the course as soon as possible. Anyway, now that the announcement is done, let us quickly proceed to the class itself. Now, this is where I think we had left out. I mean, we had covered this, but the problem was I had kept it on mute. Anyway, let's see. Now, all the schools in the area had to be kept closed for most part of the year, they say. Okay. Many parents have stopped sending their children to the local schools. Okay, now we have two different statements. We have to establish if there is a cause and effect relationship between the two. If statement 1 is the cause and statement 2 is its effect, option A. If it is vice versa, then option B. And if statements 1 and 2 are independent causes, then option C. And if they are effects of some independent causes, option D. And finally, if both the statements 1 and 2 are effects of some common cause, then option E. So this is how we are supposed to identify the answer. So now in this case, they say all the schools in the area had to be kept closed for most part of the year. So now that is one statement. Now, does that statement have any connection with statement 2, wherein they say many parents have stopped sending their children to the schools? So how do we look at it? Should we say it is option A, wherein one is the cause and the other is the effect? It's very difficult to say so, because just because all the schools in the area was kept closed, if that is the case, in fact, how would parents even send? It's not like you close the schools and therefore the parents have stopped sending. They say the parents have stopped sending their children. It's not as if parents can't send their children to the schools. If the schools were closed, then they wouldn't be able to send at all. Okay, so that is one thing which we can easily identify. And also, if you look at the first sentence carefully, it very clearly says all the schools in the area had to be kept closed for most part of the year. Okay. And even in the second sentence, they use the word many parents have stopped sending their children to the local schools. So now what I would suggest is just go back in time, just few months ago, in fact, And imagine the situation in whole of the country with respect to schools and colleges. Most parents didn't want their children to go to the schools or colleges. Likewise, most of the schools and colleges were closed for most part of the year. Why so? Because of the pandemic. So there is one common reason here. The common reason here being the COVID-19 pandemic. Because of this, the schools and colleges had to be closed, and because of this, many parents were not ready to send their children to the school. When that is the case, we can easily select option E, which says if both the statements 1 and 2 are effects of some common cause, then select option E. So therefore, we can easily select option E in this case. Let's move on. India has surpassed the value of tea exports this year, they say, over all the earlier years due to an increase in demand for quality tea in the European market. Okay. So, European market demand has increased. There is an increase in demand of coffee in the domestic market during the last 2 years. In the domestic market, they say there is an increase in demand for coffee. Now, how is the market for tea related with respect to the market for coffee, the two in two different places? One, we are talking about European market, and two, we are talking about domestic market. So when that is the case, is there any correlation or is there any cause and effect relationship between the two is what we have to see. There is absolutely no connection between these two. So therefore, we can easily rule out statement A and statement B, because, and even statement E. Because one, we are talking about coffee, another we are talking about tea, and one more, we are talking about domestic market and European market. So there cannot be any cause and effect relationship here. So we have to look at statements C and D. So now, there is an increase in demand for coffee in the domestic market during the last 2 years. It could be because of some reason. And India has surpassed the value of tea exports this year over all the earlier years due to an increase in demand for quality tea in European market. They say because of increase in demand in Europe for our tea, the value of exports has increased. It is the effect of something else. So I would select option D, because both the statements 1 and 2 are effects of some common cause. So therefore, effects of some independent cause. So therefore, out of all the options, we can only think of option C and D. I am sure you can equally defend option C as well. Doesn't mean that only D is the right answer. So this is the beauty of topics like LR, cause and effect reasoning, because C is equally plausible answer as well as D. So, but I would still go with D, because I believe these are the effects of some independent causes. So therefore, option D would be the most ideal option. Let's move on. Next question. Okay. The government has imported large quantities of sugar as per the trade agreement with other countries. The prices of sugar in the domestic market have fallen sharply in the recent months. Okay. So now I'm sure there is some kind of relationship between the two, because in both the cases we are looking at sugar itself. In one case, they say the government has imported large quantities of sugar. The government has imported sugar now, the two in large quantities, and because of this, we have seen a price fall in the domestic market. So because government imported sugar, the price of the sugar fell in the domestic market. So this was a very simple question. So we can easily select option A, wherein we say statement 1 is the cause and statement 2 is its effect. So we can easily establish cause and effect relationship in this case. Let's move on. Okay, next one. There is a sharp decline in the production of oil seeds this year. Okay. The government has decided to increase the import quantum of edible oil. Okay. So now here also we have two statements with respect to oil only. One is sharp decline in the production. So if the production of oil seeds has seen a sharp decline, obviously we won't be able to manufacture enough oil for ourselves. So therefore what the government did was they increased the import of oil, that is edible oil. So because there was sharp decline in the production of oil seeds, the government imported huge quantities of edible oil. So therefore here also it is very easy to establish relationship. Statement 1 is the cause and statement 2 is its effect, and therefore option A can be easily selected. Moving on. The government recently increased the duty on mid-sized cars. Last year, the government had hiked taxes for all industrial activities. Okay, first statement talks about duty on mid-sized cars, and second one talks about hike in hike in tax for all industrial activities, they say. So now how is mid-sized cars duty connected with hike in industrial taxes? Industrial activities, taxes for industrial activities. How are these two related? Are they even related now? Because just because cars also come under industrial activities, we cannot link both. Obviously, option A and B, including option E, are ruled out. There is no connection between these two statements. So now we have to look at only option C and option D. So the two statements actually deals with two different things: duty on cars and hike taxes for industries. Definitely not related, and they are not effects of anything. In fact, because the government has increased duty on mid-size cars, something else might happen. The demand for that might come down. Because the government has increased taxes for all industrial activities, something else might happen. Maybe the price for all the goods might increase. So these are obviously independent causes, not effects of some independent cause, but independent causes themselves. So therefore option C seems to be the right answer in this case. So that was about that particular question. Let's move on to the next one. The life today, especially for the teenagers and young adults, is too fast. Okay. Demanding and full of variety in all aspects, which at times leads to stressful situations. Okay, let's go with that for now. The life today, especially for teenagers and young adults, is too fast, demanding and full of variety in all aspects, which at times leads to stressful situations. Option 2, or rather statement 2 being, number of suicide cases among teenagers, young adults is on increase. Obviously there is some connection. So because of the fast-paced life of young adults, teenagers, young adults, the ones who are barely out of their teens, young adults and teenagers, it's very demanding, it's too fast, full of variety, that leads to stressful situations. Agree. I mean, it's not that it is the truth, it may or may not be the truth. I'm just looking at the statement independently. Because of this, they say number of suicide cases among teenagers or young adults is on increase. So we can easily conclude that because of this particular reason, because of the stress, because of the demanding life for young adults and teenagers, we can see an increase in the suicide cases, especially among teenagers and young adults. Okay, so that seems to be the possible explanation. So option A seems to be the most likeliest of answer. Cause is statement A, effect is statement B. Okay, here let me also reiterate that suicide is not the only answer. There are enough number of helplines available. So that's about it. Next, the performance of most of the students in final exam of class 10 in the schools run by government was excellent. Okay, many teachers of the government schools left the school and joined private schools. Okay, now how are these two related? Because on one hand they talk about the performance, and on the other hand they talk about the teachers joining private schools. Okay, so there is no connection whatsoever, so therefore we can easily rule out A, B and E. See, because these three options require some amount of connection between statement 1 and 2. If there is no connection between statement 1 and 2, then we can usually look at C and D. Only two options which you have to look into. So let's look at both the options. So now C says if both the statements 1 and 2 are independent causes. Okay, the performance of most of the students in final exam of class 10 in the schools run by government was excellent. Statement 1 looks more like an effect of something. Maybe because the government school teachers were teaching very well, the students scored good marks. That might be the effect. And in case of statement 2 also, many teachers of the government schools left the school and joined private schools. Maybe because the government was not paying good salary or competitive salary, therefore all those government teachers left the government job and joined private school. So statement 2 also looks like effect of some cause. So these two are effects of independent causes, not causes themselves. So therefore option D seems to be the most likeliest answer. Okay, next. Rural and semi-urban areas in the country have been suffering due to load shedding for quite some time. Okay, this is something which is very common in rural areas, and here they say even semi-urban areas are suffering from load shedding. Fine. Load shedding means there's power cut. If the government is not able to overcome the power crisis, the load shedding will extend even to the urban areas. Okay, so in first statement they talk about load shedding in rural and semi-urban areas, and in the second statement they talk about government not being able to overcome the crisis. Obviously there is some connection. The moment you see a connection, you can think of A, B and E. You can rule out C and D. So now between A and B, which one should we select? Because in case of A and B, either one should be cause, other should be effect, and other should be, or vice versa basically. So here, because of rural and semi-urban areas facing load shedding, the government is not able to overcome the power crisis. No, A cannot be the cause, or statement 1 cannot be the cause for sure. Let's look at statement 2 as cause if it is possible. If the government is not able to overcome the power crisis, load shedding will extend even to the urban areas. Even that doesn't seem to be the cause, because it is talking about something which is not directly related to statement 1. So therefore what we can easily say is both the statements are definitely the result of some independent cause. In this case, that could be the acute power shortage. If you think power shortage as the independent cause, the common cause, then you can easily explain both the statements. Because of power shortage, rural and semi-urban areas in the country have been suffering due to load shedding. Because of acute power shortage, the government is not able to overcome the power crisis or load shedding or whatever it is, so will be extended. So option E seems to be the most likeliest answer, so we'll select option E. Moving on. The university authority have instructed all the colleges under its jurisdiction to ban the use of all phones inside the college premises. Okay, phones are banned. That is about statement 1. Now statement 2. Majority of the teachers of the college signed a joint petition to the university complaining the disturbances caused by cell phone ringtones inside the classrooms. So now teachers have complained. Since the teachers have or had complained, what did the university authorities do? Because of this, that is teachers complaining, the phones were banned. So easily we can establish cause and effect relationship between statement 1 and 2. Of course, statement 1 is not the cause, but instead statement 2 is the cause. Because of this complaint by the teachers, what did the university authority do? They banned the phones in the college premises. So therefore, option B is the right answer in this case. I hope that makes sense. Let's move on. Okay. Most of the steel producing companies in the country have made considerable profit during the last financial year. Okay. Steel companies have made profits. That is about statement 1. Statement 2 says many Asian countries have been importing huge quantities of steel from India. Steel import has increased. In fact, steel import from their point of view, for us it will be export anyway. Steel export has increased. Where? In India. So we are exporting more and more steel to other Asian countries, and at the same time they also say steel companies in India have made a lot of profits. So do you see a relationship between the two? Of course, yes, because there is increase in the export of steel from India. You can say that the steel companies in India have made profits in the last financial year. So statement 2 is in fact the cause and statement 1 is its effect. So we can easily explain this. Next, moving on. The prices of the vegetable have increased considerably during the summer, they say. Okay. Especially if you look at lemon, it has in fact increased. There is tremendous increase in the temperature during this summer, thereby damaging crops greatly. Okay. Obviously, both are connected because in the first statement, they are saying the prices of vegetables have increased. Okay. If that is the case, what might be the reason? Is it a cause? Is there any effect because of this, or this itself is it an effect? We'll have to see. In the second statement, they say there is a tremendous increase in the temperature during the summer, thereby damaging the crops greatly. Imagine lemon itself. So because of increase in the temperature, lemon crops have been damaged extensively. So if you think of this, if there is huge damage to all the lemon crops, obviously the supply will be less than usual. If the market required 1000 kgs, right now only 500 kgs of lemon are being supplied because of this. Because of that, the prices of the vegetable have increased. So between these two statements, obviously statement 2 is the cause and statement 1 is the effect. So which option should we select? Option B. Let's move on. The police resorted to lathi charge to disperse the unlawful gathering of large number of people. Okay, fine. So what did the police do? They lathi charged to disperse large number of people. Okay. So now what about statement 2? They say in the citizens forum, some citizens forum called general strike Why did they call for strike? To protest against the police atrocities. Obviously there is some connection, because in both the cases police department is involved and there is some level of atrocity as well. In the first statement they very clearly say that due to the police department, to disperse large number of people, they resorted to lathi charge. Now because of this, the people thought it was too much from the police department, and because of this particular atrocity and maybe other cases as well, what did the people do? They called a general strike in protest. So this is a very easy question, wherein we can easily say, because of the lathi charge and other atrocities by the police department, there was a strike, a protest by the citizens forum. Therefore option A can be easily selected. So that's about the cause and effect reasoning. So we'll move on to the next topic, which is coding and decoding. Just give me a minute until I open the questions. Okay, we have the questions here. Let's start with the first one. What does it say? Suppose the particular word tiger is written as QDFHS. How would fish be written in the same code? So tiger is written as QDFHS. If that is the case, how should we write FISH, fish? So if you look at this, there is some kind of connection for sure, but not a direct connection. So tiger is here, QDFHS is here. We can say PQR DEFGHIST. Obviously there is some reversal of letters. We'll have to just rearrange stuff. So once we rearrange stuff, then we'll be able to explain the connection easily. So what I will do is I'll just reverse this REGIT. So now QDFHS makes sense. -1, -1, -1, -1, -1 in each of the cases. So do the same thing for fish. So fish should be reversed, HSIF. So G before H, then S, R before S, H before I, E before F. So GRHE would be the answer. In fact, we'll have to look at all the letters anyway. GRHE is option 2, so we'll have to select option 2, and that is in fact the right answer. Let's move on to the next one. The word Hilton, they say, is written as IHTLNO. We can easily understand that there is some rearrangement of letters. That's it. Apart from that, they are not doing anything else. If you look at this, HI has become IH, LT has become TL, and ON has become NO. So when that is the case, all that we need to do is just interchange the letters. So for the next question, which is about billion, so we have split the word in pairs of 2. So BI becomes IB, LL remains same as LL, IO becomes OI, and N remains as it is. So IBLLOIN, option 3. Next. If frozen is decoded as OFAPSG, how will molten be written? Frozen is decoded as, they say, OFAPSG. EFG, PQRS, LMNOP, AZ, EF, NO. Obviously it has been reversed and then there is some coding going on. What I'll do is I'll just reverse this. N, E, Z, O, R, F. So now it will be easier. So LMNO plus 1, EF plus 1, ZA plus 1, LMNOP plus 1, and so on. So all that they have done is just reverse the word and then add 1 to it. That's all. So if that is the case, then we can easily crack the code for molten as well. Let me write in reverse only. NETLOM, and O plus 1 would be O, plus 1 for E would be F, TU, LM, OPMN. So OFUMPN would be the answer. OFUMPN is in fact the third option. So third option is the right answer in this case. Moving on. By the way, it goes without saying, if at all you have any doubts with respect to whatever I am doing, if you are attending the live session, please do ping me. I have opened the chat window. I can reply easily. If at all you are watching the session after the live session is done with, please do leave a comment below. I'll definitely get back to you. Next question. In a certain code, missions is written as MSIISNOS. Okay. If that is the case, how do we decode now? Let's see what we can do. Mission is decoded as MSIISNOS. Again, this is nothing but rearrangement. But you can see the rearrangement happening here. That is leaving aside the first and last letters. The rest of the letters are interchanged. That's all you have to do. So let me do the same thing for online. NLIN. O remains as it is, doesn't change. NL becomes LN. So now what you can do is, we have already concluded that the first three letters will be OLN, right? Look at the options. If you look at the options, you will notice that none of the other options have the letters OLN as the first three letters. So this is one trick which you can follow in exam as well. If you see one of the options having the first 2 or 3 letters which you have already cracked, select that option straight away. Don't even look at the other letters. Why do you have to waste time looking for others when you already know this is the right answer? Okay. Anyway, let's move on. In a certain code, they say ROAR is written as URDU. If that is the case, how will URDU be written? Roar is written as Urdu. How Urdu will be written in that? PQR, STU, LMNO, PQR, ABCD. Okay, all that they have done is add 3 in each of these cases. So if you add 3 to Urdu also, you'll get some other letter or word rather. So plus 3 to U, VWX, plus 3 to R, STU, plus 3 to D, EFG, plus 3 to U, VWX. So this is in fact the right answer. In fact, here also in the exam, when you're decoding this particular thing, look at these two letters, XU. You can notice that XU is there in only one of the options. Straight away select that, click on that option. Don't even bother about the rest, because you already cracked the first two letters. So don't worry about the next set of letters and waste your time. Let's move on. In a certain code, Limca is written as HLDZ, HJLDZ, sorry. Then how would IFWJBP written? Okay, first of all, let's decode this. HIJKL. So there's obviously some relationship. LM HIJ, LM minus 1, HIJ plus 1, ABCD plus 1, Z minus 1. Okay, yeah. So obviously in the next 4 letters apart from the first one, we have plus 1 minus 1 rule going on. But with respect to L, what do we have? HIJKL. So we have minus 4 actually. So this is the thing. So let's see if we can apply the same for IF, whatever it is. IFWJBP. For the first one, we'll have to do minus 4, no? HEFG, HEFE. Does it make sense? Chai. H would be the E would be the actual letter, no? If you have to minus 4 from that. H, E, F, G, H, E, F, G, H, then I. Minus 4 obviously is not working. Let me just change the sign and see if that works. Sometimes the same sign might not work. Instead of minus 4, what I will do is I will add plus 4. If I have to add plus 4, sorry, JKLM. Okay. Minus 1. I'm just changing the sign everywhere. So minus 4 became plus 4, plus 1 became minus 1 here. E, WX, minus 1, I, plus 1, C, minus 1. So therefore, the right answer in this case is Mexico, option 1. So sometimes you'll have to do this. Here in the question we had this, but in the answer we had to go for reversal of sign. The number remains the same. That is 4 plus 1 minus 1 plus 1 was there, minus 4. But we have made it plus 4 minus 1 plus 1, so on and so forth. You'll have to do this when you don't get the right option in the answers. So that's okay. Let's move on. If the letters of the word cylinder are arranged alphabetically, then which letter would be farthest from the first letter of the word? This is easy. Okay, if I have to arrange the word letters here in the cylinder word alphabetically, it would be like C, E. Sorry, D comes first, no? D, E, H, I, J, K, L, N, R and Y. So which would be the farthest from the first letter of the word? First letter would be C. The farthest from that would be letter Y. So Y, obviously. You don't even have to arrange everything to know that. You know anyway that Y would be the last letter, whichever way you arrange. Anyway, let's move on. In a certain code, certain is coded as BFQUZJM. Certain. So B minus 1 plus 1 minus 1 plus 1 minus 1 plus 1 minus 1. Very easy. So the moment, see, the more you practice, the more easier it would be to recognize patterns. So that is the only way to recognize patterns. Otherwise, it will be difficult for you to recognize. You will struggle and waste a lot of time. So practice is the key here when it comes to LR. So let us look at the word which is given for us, MUNDANE, mundane. So now if I have to apply the same logic, minus 1 N plus 1 UV. I think EF, no, UV. Oh, yeah, correct. L it is. Then minus 1 M plus 1 E minus 1 Z plus 1 O minus 1 D. LVMEZOD. Okay, option 1 obviously is the right answer. Okay, let's move on. In a certain code, sequence is coded as FDO, FV, RFT. Okay. If that is the case, how do we code children? Fine. Let's see what exactly we are supposed to do here. Sequence. Okay. Now this is coded as FDO, FV, RFT. Is there any relationship between the two? Obviously there will be, but it doesn't look like straightforward one, because if you look at this, E, F, C, D, N, O, E, F, so they have reversed it and then they have decoded. So that much we have understood. What we'll do is, we'll do the same. So N, E, R, D, L, I, H, C. Children written in reverse, and now we will do that thing. So all that we need to do is add just one. That's what they had done earlier. L, M, N, O, E, F, P, Q, R, S, D, E, A, B, C, D, E, L, M, H, I, J, H, I, A, B, C, D, O, F, S, E, M, J, I, D. O, F, S, E, M, J, I, D would be the right answer. Let's move on. In a certain code, purpose is written as UPPRSOE. So we can easily understand that it is nothing but interchanging of letters. So let us see how they have interchanged the letters. PURPOSE is written as UPPRSOE. So PU has become UP, RP has become PR, OS has become SO, E remains as it is. This is easy actually. WATER. WA and TE can be grouped. WA becomes AW, T becomes AT, R will be as it is. AWETR. AWETR, option C. Next. In a certain code, easier is written as TJKUCG. Okay, something. Okay, let's see how exactly they may have coded that. Why would they do this? R, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, E, F, G, E, F, G, A, B, C, S, T, U, H, I, J, K, E, F, G, R, S, T, reverse. So let's reverse this first of all. R, E, I, S, A, E, T, P, Q, R, S, T, R, S, T plus 2, E, F, G plus 2, H, I, J, K plus 2. So we don't have to do for the rest. We know that it is nothing but reversal of the main word and adding plus 2 to each of the letters. So let's do the same thing for cutter as well. That is what they have asked, no? So let me write it in reverse itself. R, E, T, T, U, C plus 2, P, Q, R, S, T, E, F, G, R, S, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V. Okay, that's all. I'll stop here because I don't have to look for everything else, because if you look at the options, TGV is there in only one of the options. I'll straight away select it. I won't even bother checking for these three letters. No, doesn't make sense, because is there any other option which is clashing with this particular option? No. So therefore, can we select this option as the final option? Yes. So option, what is that? C is in fact the final answer. Let's move on. Next. In a certain code, okay, this will take time. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, let me also reiterate that we are not trying to cover the entire syllabus in this case. That would not be possible in the crash course. Then it won't be crash course. If at all you want all the questions and all the chapters arranged in chronological order with MCQs, quizzes, mock tests, etc., all you have to do is just visit the link in the description, that is excelacademy.com, ekcelacademy.com, and then register for CSEET. You don't even have to pay for it. If you do that, then you will get all this anyway. Those are all recorded classes. You can just watch them and understand. Let's move on to the next one, wherein they say corner is written as GSVRIV. Corner is written as GSVRIV. So now how do we decode? A, B, C, D, E, F, G. E, F, G, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, A, B, C, D, E, F, G plus 4, no? In case of O, P, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S plus 4. Let me just check for this E. F, G, H, I plus 4. That means it's a simple rule of plus 4. That's all. Nothing else is happening. So if you look at that, then CENTRAL. How will you write this? So central ABC D, E, F, G, E plus 4 to E would be E, F, G, H, I. Right. N would be O, P, Q, R. That's all. I won't go further because GIR is not there in any of the other options. It's there in only option B. So I will simply select option B as the right answer. No need to worry about the rest of the letters. Let's move on. So this is the last question of coding and decoding. Let's see what exactly is happening here. Pulse is it? Okay, this will take time. Let's not do this. Okay, let me take up this question. Computer is written as R, F, U, V, Q, and PC. Okay, this we can do. So how will medicine be written in that code language? So E, F, T, U, U, V, P, Q, M, N, O, P. Very easy actually. Only thing is first and last letters remain the same. Only thing is their position is interchanged. Let's do the same thing for medicine. So So E will come here, M will go here, so that is taken care of. Then N, O, J, C, D. I can even stop here straight away because I just looked at, oh, there are two options with the same. I can't do that because we have EOJD in both the places. We'll have to do it for the rest. Then I, J, E, B, C, D, E, F. So this is in fact the right answer. E, O, J, D, J, E, F, M. Option D. So that's about coding and decoding. I hope it was easy for you to understand. Of course, we have only covered a sample of questions. We can't cover everything because it will take more time. We have to move on to the other topics as well. My idea here is to cover as many topics as possible so that you will get an idea about all the topics in LR, and not only LR, for other topics also. I would try to apply the same logic. Let's see how far it will be implementable. So anyway, we'll take a break of a couple of minutes and then we'll proceed further with the next topic. Welcome back. Let's move to the next topic, which is drawing inference. I will combine this with the other topic, which is also there right below this, that is deriving conclusions from passages and drawing inferences. Very similar topics, so both the topics would be covered in succession. That is part of logical reasoning anyway. Next, let's move on to the first question of this topic, that is primary education in Bihar is in a poor shape. Let's read the passage first. Once you read the passage, then there will be a question. You'll have to answer that based on the passage. Primary education in Bihar is in a poor shape. No wonder. Anyway, pupils in over 50% of the schools read in open throughout the year. These are all, we cannot be sure that these are facts, but even though it looks more like facts. So primary education in Bihar is in poor shape. That's okay. Pupils, that is students, in over 50% of the schools read in open. Okay, that means without any shelter. Over 6 million children, 6 million means 60 lakhs. Children born to lower income group parents remain unlettered. Okay. Unlettered means they do not know to read and write. Not even 1% of the 63,000 primary schools have facilities of furniture, toilet, drinking water and games. Not even 1%. That means out of 63,000, even 630 schools do not have those facilities, according to the paragraph, of course. May or may not be the case in reality. Next. 3,113 new teachers have been appointed in the current financial year, out of which 2,747 are women. Okay, that is good. Now, each of the 13,270 primary schools have at least 2 teachers. Okay. So now, what is the question? In Bihar, 50% of the children are illiterate, they say. Does it make sense if you think the inference is this, the paragraph is this, or the passage is that? So based on that, we are drawing inferences. So is the inference drawn here proper? If it is true, option A. If you think it might be true, then option B. And if you think the data given is inadequate, option C. And if you think inference is probably not true or false, then option D. So here they say 50% of the children are illiterate. Where in the question have they mentioned that 50% of the children are illiterate, or have they even hinted at that? If they had hinted, we can say probably true. But here there is no mention of that. We cannot even say probably false. Why do we know that it is probably false? We do not know. Is there any statement in the passage which is contradicting this particular inference? There is no such statement. So we don't even know that. Only thing which we know is over 6 million children born to lower income group parents remain unlettered. So 60 lakh children who were born to lower income group parents, they do not know to read and write. But what about other students, those who are born to not lower income group parents? So we do not have any data with respect to that. So given the situation, we can only say the data given is inadequate. So with this data, we cannot say, we cannot say anything. So option C would be the right option in this case. So select C as the right answer. Next, moving on. Primary education in Bihar is in poor shape, they say. Okay. Pupils in the same passage. We don't have to read it again and again. So now, in this case, the inference is slightly different. So we'll have to look at the inference and check if any of the options actually fit. So what is the inference? 90% of the primary teachers are women. 90% of primary teachers are women, they say. Do we have data with respect to 90% of the primary teachers? What we have is the data of new teachers. new teachers is not the same as 90% of the primary teachers. With respect to new teachers, you can perhaps say a majority of them are women, because out of 2747 out of 3113 teachers are women. Definitely majority of the new teachers are women, but we cannot say the same thing for all the teachers, because in the inference they say 90% of the primary teachers, we do not know anything about them, so therefore data given here is inadequate as well. So let's move on to the next one. The inference here is there are 6 million parents belonging to lower income group in Bihar. There are 6 million parents belonging to lower income groups in Bihar. They have mentioned over 6 million children born to lower income group parents remain unlettered. See, they're talking about over 6 million children born to lower income group parents. There are 6 million children, of course, but do we know there are 6 million parents as well? That, how can we say just because there are 6 million children born to lower income group, there are 6 million parents belonging to lower income group? Could be the case, probably true, but I don't think it is definitely true. For definite, for us to consider option A, it should be definitely true. If there are 6 million children, even if you consider one child per couple, you can say 6 million children, 6 million parents, but it might be more than that also, isn't it? So I would still go with option B, that is probably true, not definitely true. Next, same passage once again, but the inference is different now. So in this case, they say the large number of primary schools in Bihar are one teacher schools. No, because if you look at that last sentence, they very clearly say now each of those primary schools have at least two teachers. If each of these primary schools have at least two teachers, we cannot say it's one teacher school for sure. So the inference in this case is definitely not true. So if it is definitely not true, which option should we select? Option D. If you think the inference is probably false. Why do we think the inference that a large number of primary schools in Bihar are one teacher schools is false? We think so because of the last sentence in the passage, which clearly tells us each of 13,270 primary schools have at least two teachers now. So therefore that option can be ruled out. So option D is the right answer. That inference can be ruled out. So hence option D is in fact the right answer. Let's move on. 630 primary schools in Bihar have all the facilities like furniture, toilet, drinking water, games. Where in the problem have they mentioned anything with respect to this? What they have mentioned is not even 1% of 63,000 have all these facilities mentioned in the inference. Not even 1% means even 630 schools do not have the facility. So obviously the statement or the inference given in the question is false. So option D is in fact the right answer. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, it's a different question now. Let's read this first and then we'll proceed towards the inference. Economic liberalization and globalization have put pressures on Indian industry, particularly on the service sector. To offer quality products and services at low costs and with high speed, okay, particularly on service sector, to offer quality products and services at low costs with high speed. What they're trying to say is, because of the liberalization, the service sector is not able to offer quality products and services at low cost and also with high speed. Organizations have to compete with unequal partners from abroad, because if it's a service sector, you don't have to be in the same country. No, if I need some service, I can as well get it from some other country, from someone sitting in Europe or US, because it's a service. And especially in this day and age where everything can happen online, I can get that thing done, especially if it is related or revolving around software. Other services, of course, may or may not be possible. Organizations have to compete with unequal partners from abroad. What they're trying to say is, unequal partners, they may have better infrastructure, support from the government, etc. The service guy sitting here in India may not have all that happening. It is well recognized that developing countries like India are already behind other countries technologically in many areas. So it is a recognized fact, they say, that we are technologically behind in many areas. Although some of them, particularly India, boast of a huge scientific and technical manpower. We may be technologically behind, but we also have scientific and technical manpower. In addition to this, if an entrepreneur or industrialist has to spend a lot of his time, money, and energy in dealing with unpredictable services and in negotiating with local bureaucracy, it can have a significant dampening effect on business. So we know in India, we have to deal with bureaucracy all the time. So we do not know whether they will even efficiently work or not. In most cases, they won't. The guy sitting abroad may or may not have this kind of disadvantage. So therefore, somewhere in the beginning of the passage, they say it's unequal. It's our unequal competitors. So I may be providing service here, they also may be providing service, but we are not equally advantaged. So he may have better technical advantage, he may have better local government support, etc. We may, in India, the service sector in India may not have all that. So now let us look at the inference. The inference here is, no developing country, it's here, no developing country except India claims that they have highly trained technical manpower. Is that the inference which we can draw from the passage? I don't think so. How can we say that no developing country except India claims that they have highly trained technical manpower? From the statement, we can only say this is definitely false, because if you look at it, very clearly somewhere they have mentioned, in many areas, okay, let's read from here. It is well recognized that developing countries like India are already behind other countries technologically in many areas, although some of them, particularly India, boast of huge and scientific and technical manpower. So some of them, they say, although some of them, like India, boast of huge scientific and technical manpower. So very clearly they say there are other countries also, because he says what, or rather the paragraph says what, although some of them means not just one. So if it was just one, they would have said particularly India or only India. They have not mentioned that. So therefore we cannot say no other developing country other than India claims that they have highly trained technical manpower. They may have, we do not know. So but from the paragraph, this is definitely not the case. So therefore we will select option D, that is, the inference is definitely false. That is what we have concluded. Next, same paragraph but a different inference. Official formalities are less cumbersome in almost all the countries except India. Okay, this might be true for all we know, but not based on the passage. So this is something which you have to be careful about even in exam, because what is actually true in reality may not be the case in this paragraph. We have to only look at the data or statements given in the paragraph and then draw inference. We cannot draw inference from our knowledge. So if you ask me, official formalities are less cumbersome in almost all countries except India, I will still go with probably true. Of course, there are other African countries also and South Asian countries where official formalities are cumbersome. But we have heard and seen elsewhere that in India it is very difficult to get things done officially. But in the paragraph, have they mentioned anything which actually supports this particular inference? So that is what our goal should be, to make sure whatever they have inferred is supported by the passage. If it is not supported by the passage, then select one of the options depending on whichever is making sense. Now I cannot say definitely true, I cannot say probably true also. We do not know for sure. And I cannot say definitely false as well, because is there anything which says that this is definitely false? No. So I will go with option C, that is data is inadequate. If we had enough data, maybe then we would have come to some conclusion, but in this case we don't have any data. So what we'll do is we'll simply say option C might be the right answer. Let's move on. Okay. The inference here is India at present is to some extent at par with the developed countries in terms of technological development. Is India at par with some, at least to some extent, on par with developed countries in terms of technological development? I don't think so. I mean, I'm just drawing this from my knowledge, but still, if you look at the passage here, is there anything here which actually supports that? Let's read the passage which is related to this, or rather that portion which is related to this. It is well recognized that developing countries like India are already behind other countries technologically. India is behind other countries technologically. Although some of them, particularly India, boast of huge scientific and technical manpower. We only possess scientific and technical manpower, but are we technologically, at least to some extent, at par with developed countries? No. Very clearly it is mentioned in the passage that though we boast of huge technological manpower, we still lag behind other countries technologically. When it is very clearly mentioned that we lag behind, how can we say that is at par? It is quite probable that India is in no way at par. Obviously, it is probable that India is in no way at par with the developed countries, at least in terms of technological development. So therefore, I will go with option D, wherein we say no. Whatever you have inferred is not true because of the statement given here in the passage, wherein they very categorically mention we lag behind others even though we have scientific and technical manpower. So we can't come to such a conclusion. Next, the inference for the same passage, of course, is foreign companies are more equipped than domestic companies to provide quality service in good time. This is interesting. Here they say Indian companies may in fact lag behind, or I have to put it in other words, foreign companies have better facilities than domestic companies to provide quality service in good time. Does it make sense? According to the passage, of course. Is there anything in the passage which actually supports this inference? Let's read the passage once again. Economic liberalization and globalization have put pressures on Indian industry, particularly on service sector, to offer quality products and services at low costs and with high speed. That means we are not able to do that. That is about us. What about foreign countries? Organizations have to compete with unequal partners from abroad. Further, they say it is well recognized that developing countries in India, okay, forget about the rest, but what we know from the passage, that is the first few lines in the passage, is that, or rather the first two sentences, this is in fact the case. We are not able to provide quality service in good time, whereas the foreign companies can do, because very clearly he mentions unequal competitors. So if they are unequal competitors, that means they have more facility compared to us, and they can do this in a shorter period of time compared to us. So therefore I will go with definitely true based on the first two sentences in the passage. Moving on, let's look at the inference. Same passage once again. Indian service industry was more comfortable before economic liberalization. Okay. Did economic liberalization in any way dampen the spirits of Indian service sector? Because of economic liberalization, wherein the foreign products, the foreign companies came to India, the foreign service providers also could come to India. The service sector here in India suffered because they had to now compete with someone who had more facilities and who is obviously an unequal competitor. So we can definitely, or we can at least say to some extent, because of the entry of foreign companies that happened because of economic liberalization, of course, it has put some pressure on Indian industry. If not for this, maybe they would have been still very comfortable providing below par services at high costs and taking a lot of time. But now, because of this liberalization, wherein Indian sitting in somewhere in a small city or village can get the service from someone who is sitting in US, so that has actually put a lot of pressure and made them uncomfortable. So obviously, we can select option B. Probably true. We do not know for sure, but the passage definitely indicates towards this. So therefore we have selected the option B, which says probably true. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, that's all about this. There's no more questions. So that was about what is that, deriving conclusions from passages. So we'll move on to the next topic. Before that, we'll take a break of couple of minutes. Welcome back. Let's look at inferences, drawing inferences from the given questions. So the first question here is, or rather we'll have statement or multiple statements. From that there would be arguments based on the statement, and what we have to do is we'll have to just see if that statement or rather the conclusions or their arguments is holding water or not. Now there'll be 5 options or 4 depending on how they set it up. Select A if only argument 1 is strong. Select B if only argument 2 is strong. Select C if either 1 or 2 is strong, one of them. Select D if neither of them is strong, and select E if both the statements are strong. So there are multiple possibilities here. So the first statement which we have here is, there should be a law to punish parents who get their minor children married. That is what the statement talks about. And the arguments which are presented here are, yes, a minor girl is psychologically not prepared to conceive a baby, so because of that they say the parent should be punished. And the second statement being, no, you should not do that because this has been a custom prevailing since many centuries. So just because it is a custom since many centuries, we cannot say there should be no law to punish parents. So the second statement is in fact not supporting whatever is the statement which is mentioned above. So therefore the second argument can be safely ignored, and what we have to do is we'll have to stick to the first argument. Only the first argument makes sense because it says, yes, whatever is the statement we support it because a minor girl is psychologically not prepared to conceive a baby. So which option makes more sense? Obviously option A, wherein they say only argument 1 is strong. If only argument 1 is strong, which option should we select? Option A. So therefore we'll select option A. Next. Should the institute conduct classes in remote villages? Okay. So now you can think of CA Institute or CS Institute as well here. So now, should the institute conduct classes in remote villages? That is a question. The arguments in favor and against this are, the first one being, yes, this will help those students who belong to villages and cannot visit urban areas for studies. Obviously it makes sense. Why should the institute conduct classes in remote villages? Because it will help those village students or rural students who cannot come to urban areas for studies. If they have to come here, they'll have to look for a PG, then they have to spend money on their food, etc., and then study living away from family, parents, etc., which may hinder their studies. That is one option, or rather argument. The second argument says no, the institute should not conduct classes in villages. Why? Because this is not economically viable, meaning it doesn't make sense money wise, as the number of students who attend such classes cannot contribute to break even. That means any institute, if it has to function, has to make sure that it makes enough money to pay its employees and the owners. If it is not able to pay the employees as well as the owners, we say it is not achieving break even. If it is not achieving break even, then how will the institute even survive? So therefore even option 2 makes sense. So both the options are making sense from different points of view. It's not that we should support one view or the other, but independently both the options are making sense. So if both the options are very strong, or rather if both the arguments are very strong, select option E, and hence we'll have to select option E as the right answer. So that was about this particular question. Let's move on. Next statement. Are there any good politicians left in this world? Yes, of course. So that is my view, of course. Let's look at the arguments now. So the question is very clear. Are there any good politicians left in this world? Arguments being, yes, so many poor people are sustaining themselves and improving economically. No, how is this connected to politicians? So many poor people are sustaining themselves, or they're able to maintain on their own and improving economically. If just because poor people are able to manage on their own and they're improving economically, can we say it is because of the politicians? Obviously not. Then the second argument says, no, there is nothing in this world which is completely good or completely bad. Again, doesn't make sense. So it's very vague. I mean, this is a very pinpointed statement about politician, whereas this is about like philosophical statement wherein they say there is nothing bad or completely good. Therefore, we can easily say none of these two arguments actually make sense. So which option should we select? If neither of the arguments is strong, we should select option D, because neither one, that is argument 1, nor argument 2 is strong. So therefore select option D as the answer. Next. Are these sanctuaries which are meant to protect the endangered animals necessary? Okay. So there are some sanctuaries, animal sanctuaries. Why are they set up? So that the endangered animals are protected. Now the point here is, are they necessary? That is the question being asked. So we have few arguments. Let us look at the arguments. The argument 1 says yes, of course. These are necessary as it is our responsibility to conserve environment, wildlife, and provide posterity, that is future generations, with a better world to live in. That is one argument. Okay, we will accept that argument because yes, of course, if we don't conserve the endangered animals, tomorrow the posterity, that is the future, may not even be able to see what exactly we had. For example, it's a very well-known campaign, that is Save Tiger. So that is being carried on since a long time in our country only. So because of that, the tiger population has in fact increased. Otherwise, imagine if we don't conserve or we don't protect these endangered animals, future generations will only get to see them in images and videos, not in reality. The second argument being, no. From the data, it is established that these are huge burden on our already receding economy. So the second argument is very clear. It says, no, we can't do this because ours is a receding economy. That means economy which is coming down. We don't have much money for ourselves. Of course, I'm not talking about India as such in this case, but only in this question. So they say, since ours is a receding economy and we don't have money for our own people, why are you worried about endangered animals? First, let us survive, and only then we can think of endangered animals. So, in its own, this statement also makes sense. When your people are suffering, when you don't have money for your basic necessities, will you be worried about endangered animals or will you be worried about your citizens? Obviously, you'll be worried about your citizens. So therefore, they say, don't worry too much about endangered animals. Rather worry about improving your economy so that your citizens live happily. So statement 2 or argument 2 also makes sense. Argument 1 also makes sense. If both the options do make sense, then which one should we select? Option E, which says, if both 1 and 2 are strong, then select option E. So therefore, in this case, we have selected which option? Option E as the right answer. So I hope it makes sense. Let's move on to the next one. Should the teachers be stopped from beating the students? Interesting. It's an obvious answer, I thought. Of course, no one should hit the students. Let's look at the arguments. Yes, child psychologists say that beating hinders the learning process in a child. Just because you beat them doesn't mean that they will understand anything. In fact, it might work in the opposite manner, wherein because you have hitting them, they may not actually understand everything properly. That is one argument. Argument 2 being, no, don't do that. Don't stop hitting the students, because if you spare the cane, that means if you don't use the cane to hit them, you are spoiling the child. Now, argument 2 obviously doesn't make sense. If at all, if anything which hinders the learning process in a child, if it is has to be controlled, it should be controlled, and if possible be prohibited as well. We know for a fact that by hitting the children, we are actually making them learn less and less. So prohibit this entire practice of hitting. No, why should teacher hit and then make the child learn? So therefore argument 2 doesn't make sense at all. So only argument 1 makes sense. So therefore option A has to be selected. Okay, we'll stop here with drawing inferences from the statement. So far we have covered few topics. We'll try to cover more topics in the next session of LR. Mostly next week, sometime next weekend, I guess. Anyway, let's meet again on Monday, but the CSEET live classes will continue tomorrow as well. Meenala ma'am will have classes on communication. In fact, there is an announcement regarding that as well. So this is very important for a CS student, especially for all professional students, but especially for CS students. Communication skills. Communication skills is often found lacking when it comes to CS students. That's why we have this communication, especially the business communication skills, as a separate subject. So try to attend the session. That's a very important session handled by our excellent faculty, Meenala madam. So do attend. Even if you are an executive student, I would suggest do attend, because the communication is something which is important for all students, and even if you are not a student, you can still learn so much from that session. So the link or rather the details for this session are there in the description. Do check it out. You'll get all the details there. And thank you